people on Zoom didn't see anything. So hopefully you guys on Zoom, I can see all of you, you can see me. Okay. And
See if they
then
can hear you.
you can hear me. Let me see if, Janet, you want that screen in the background?
I'm gonna share it when we get to the
Okay,
presentation.
okay. Okay, so this is our 20th.
Yeah.
20th. And I would have liked to have had us all sell this company long before now. And be getting together just to drink wine, but anyway, it's gone on a long time and it's been good and we've done well and, but we've never paid a dividend but once and, except for cases of wine every year. And so it's time to make some changes and also looking at the wine industry today, we're being forced to make changes. So that's what a lot of this meeting will be about. It's going through that. But what we'd like to start with is it's the roll call. Let's see now. We have all these people on, and then you have who's on Zoom. So you've got that. Okay. And then what we need to do, we've had 2 shareholder meetings since well, we've had the last shareholder meeting, and then we had a short meeting over Zoom. Those minutes are in your packets, and what we need is a motion to pass or to approve the minutes and any discussion. So okay. So was that you, Dick?
Yes.
Okay, so Dick,
Well, it'll be on.
yeah, well, last time it wasn't.
Oh.
And I had to recreate all this stuff. Since I'm now the secretary of the company as well. But, and then, Maynard did a second. So is there any discussion on those minutes? See people who get a chance to read them? Okay, we'll move then to a vote. All in favor of accepting the minutes? Anybody opposed? So it's unanimously passed. Okay, so after that, Janet's gonna go into a sales presentation and where we're at, how things are working.
And so before I get into the presentation, I want to introduce our new operations manager. I know this is Moani Campbell. I know a lot of you have met Melissa. She's been with us for several years. And so Melissa has moved on now to be a esthetician. So complete, different industry. So we are so fortunate to have Moani. I get the hardest time with her name. We have about 10 M's in our company now. Names with M's. And so Moani, I got it right. I kept calling her Milani and all kinds of things. But I just want Moani a quick introduction so she could tell you a little bit of her background and how she came and why she's here.
Awesome. So nice to see everyone's faces. I joined the team in June of this year, so I'm still getting acclimated, and it's been really, really wonderful to be a part of this team. I grew up in Hawaii, as some of you might have guessed based on my name. It is Hawaiian, and I moved to the area in 2018, and I have been in the hospitality industry since I started working at 14. So about 20 years now. As you can imagine, in Hawaii, lots of hotels, restaurants, running that. I've worked just about every front of house position you could imagine. And when I came here to this area, I got really into wine. And I worked in El Dorado County, here now in Amador. And I really, really love it. My hospitality background makes it so that I just really love connecting with people and getting to talk to them and see all of your faces and you here on Zoom as well. So I'm excited to be a part of the team, and I'm interested to be here today and meet all of you and hear your feedback. So I'm available for any questions you might have. I look forward to getting to know all of you a bit better.
Say is a winemaker.
Yes.
And serendipitously, I don't know if that's a word, but we are having our lunch today is going to be on the Hawaiian food. So in your honor, although it just happened by accident, so it's great. Okay, so we're gonna get into the presentation. Okay. So everybody sees it on Zoom?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, so. Okay, so the first thing we have to talk about, I know a lot of people aren't that familiar. Oh, well, this didn't move. Okay, so people have been really surprised when we tell people what has been going on in the industry right now. It's really quite amazing, and I mean, we're so informed and we get things about it daily. The crisis really that the wine industry and the alcohol industry is going through. It started with the World Health Organization when they declared that no amount of alcohol is good for you. And so there's a global alcohol action plan now. And these measures, they include stricter restrictions on alcohol availability, increased advertising bars, increased advertising bars for alcohol, and highly taxation. So you know, it's just all these things are coming down upon the wine industry right now. Millions of vineyards worldwide are being ripped out because the consumption has decreased so much. People are drinking less or not at all. And and to add to all this, people still have cellars filled to the brim since the pandemic when everybody was pantry loading. So, and we're also experiencing a change of consumer preferences from wine to spirits. So we'll just briefly talk about last year. Our sales were flat. We hit right about 3 million for the last 2 years. This year, these are sales figures from year to date through June. And you can see we're down about 10%, and which amounts to about $125,000. The direct-to-consumer channels, we have the wine club, all the channels are down, especially the POS. And that means that's the tasting rooms. This is the all of the tasting rooms are down. Now, the sugar mill is specifically down 32% since the first of the year. And one of this heat is not helping because we're out in the boiler room. And that's exactly what it's become, a boiler room. It's you know, over 100 degrees out there, and there's no air conditioning. We have big fans, but we don't, you know, we don't want our employees or the customers, you know, falling over from heat. So we're, you know, on really hot days, we're closing it down. So, and then the winery is down too, and it's not because of our management. We have great management. All of our tasting rooms it's just that people are not coming to tasting rooms right now. And this just isn't ours. It's the visitors are down everywhere, all over, even Napa Valley. So Sutter Creek, we have a new manager there. His name's Franklin. He's been with us for a long time, but he just took over. He's quite the personality. And if while you're here, if you have a chance to go and drop in Sutter Creek, he's really somebody to meet. He's almost since he's been with us the last couple of months as a manager, actually he has increased sales from last year. So hopefully when we look at these numbers for Sutter Creek, they're going to be up a little bit more. The only problem is right now, our landlord, who's been very good to us for about 15 years, has decided of all times to raise the rent $500 a month. You know, and we're struggling as it is. So
60.
yeah, so we're at the winery, it's always been out of all the tasting rooms, that's one that's done the best. But we're trying to think of ideas, maybe how to bring people in. We got this big heart out front, you might see. We thought maybe people would like to, we're in the heart of Shenandoah Valley. This is the winery's heart. And but that's not really being a big draw. We're thinking now that maybe after all these years that Scott has been working on his 53 MG, maybe we'll park that out front. And maybe there'll be some classic car people that might draw it. And we know one right here, don't we? So, but anyway, so I mean, right now that's we're reassessing keeping some of the tasting rooms open, like Sutter Creek and the sugar mill, unfortunately. Here's our best-selling products so far this year through June. And mainly this is all DTC. And most of these come from whatever the wine club shipments were. So that's why Toy Barbera, our wine club loves Toy Barbera, and we have a Griffin Society Cabernet. Our GSM, if you haven't tried that one yet, extremely popular. So they're very different than the top wines that the tasting room's selling. Tasting room, their top seller is Tickle Me Pink. Well, we've had some really good promotions on it as well, but it's interesting that both Tickle Me Pink and then one of our most expensive wines, Vineyard 1869, are the top two sellers at the tasting rooms. Then wine club next. We have Amanda, thank goodness, is still with us, and she's planning to stay hopefully for forever, as long as we're here. We have a great average tenure, 47 months. I think that's probably almost unheard of in the industry. It's almost, 4 years? And it's, hello? Oh, and it's almost up 21%. Our average order value is up 2%, but our attrition is up 15% from that 14, which is, we're on the high side. The average sales per member, this is through June, so that's how much we're getting from every member, which is also up. One of the things we're noticing though about this attrition factor is that they're coming from the people that just sign up, maybe less than a year. We try to get them to stay a year, but our loyalists are, they're 4 years. We have people celebrating 15 years with us this year that have been in our wine club. So if you go to the winery, you'll see the wall, and you'll see all the people that are even going back to 2007. The trade is also down. We just still have a hard time getting with this trade, and we got this great distributor. Everybody was very excited about it. Over on the East Coast, they have about 5 to 7 states that they cover, but they require that we go there several times a year at the East Coast and work the markets, go and make sales calls with them. And it just doesn't pay. We tried to do their bidding. We went to Maryland the first of this year. They weren't very accommodating. We didn't really get a lot out of it. I think we should just probably stick to California. And, it doesn't make sense to be going to the East Coast. So by channel, you can see the wine club is still our biggest channel, most highest revenue. Then comes the POS. Then we're down to 13% now with the trade sales. And then 7%, that's pretty much a little of everything else, including e-commerce. But yeah, we had great scores, our new vintages. They're all 90s, 93. Wine Enthusiast, we advertised in the Wine Enthusiast our labels to show this off to the trade and the consumer. We do a lot of events. And next week, we have a huge event coming up. We're very excited about. It's our 20th anniversary event. And so we have all kinds of wonderful things planned. Then we're going to do a couple weeks later, we're going to do this historical tour where we rented a van and we're going to take people around to all the places Scott worked at in his history, starting at Montevina and then.
It's gonna be a week-long trip?
Yeah, Montevina and Story. So we have food trucks, paint and sip, and then we do our virtual events as well. But we're trying to really do lots of events, bring people in all the time. As a matter of fact, if any of you are still here tomorrow, we have a great event going on in Sutter Creek, where we have this thing called Second Sunday. And so all the 8 wineries in Sutter Creek get together and we have a different theme every Sunday, each month. And this one is going to be Passport Sunday. And so one of the wineries or tasting rooms, he made all these great little passport. Did you see them? Yeah, these little passport things where people can go around and get each one has a country that they were going to represent, these tasting room, and get stamps and try try a different varietal with a pairing. Of course, we're Germany, so we have we're doing the Riesling and the onion bread. Nobody knows what onion bread. And so I mentioned we have our happy hour, and that's really growing virtually every first Thursday. It's a lot of fun. You're also welcome to join it too. We have our app that we continue to, it gets better and better all the time. The Vineyard House, Rate Wine Club and Shareholder Benefit. And these are these are some of our marketing initiatives for the rest of the year. We're going to do more text promotions in addition to email. We're finding that texting is really, it's a great addition, and we get a great response to our texting, both for events, if you tell somebody, about an event, or for the, a promotion. And then we're going to go, everything right now is go to the customer. We can't be waiting around for them to show up at the tasting rooms. So we're really focusing on either doing these home tastings, going to the home where, like the Tupperware, where you have folks come in, your friends, and just did one down in Escondido last month, and that was very beneficial. With the HOAs, this is a great thing that we kind of discovered through Justin and Julie. They have this, they're now in this over 55 community, and these communities thank God, still drink wine. So, so they have these happy hours and they do these events. And so we are reaching out, we have a whole list, we're reaching out and scheduling these tastings that we go in and do a tasting, kind of like this. And and then people buy the wines. And we just did one in Reno. We have another one in Reno coming up in August. And so they have been very lucrative. So we're not just, yes.
You mentioned the Escondido trip. I'm just curious to get a scale. How many people came and how much?
Well, it was, we had 30, almost 30 people. The question is about Escondido, how many people? We had about 30 people. It was a beautiful setup at this house. We sold about $1,500 dollars worth of wine. So, which was nice. It was worth it. We were down there anyway. So it was a, nice addition. Yeah, the one in Reno was almost 4,000. I think the one that's a bigger group. That's at the HOAs. And 3 wine club signups. Yes. Yeah, thanks. And we didn't get any wine club signups for this one in Escondido, but a lot of them, well, there was a lot of family there from the wine club member. And then the biggest of all is the exploring the RTD. That I think a lot of you have seen the presentation the last one we did, the special meeting, a virtual meeting. And you'll see in your packets, we have an update that phase 1 is already completed and accomplished a lot just since that first meeting back then. And it's so exciting. So we're thrilled about it. The company, this Middleton Advisory Group, they're terrific to work with. We have weekly meetings, and I think we're progressing quite well with it. So, any questions? Rick has a question. Rick, we're very happy with the performance of our Nevada distributor. They're new to us this year. We would like to see quicker payments, which is always the case, seems. Pardon?
A few bikers.
About a few bikers?
Elections.
Oh, website, yeah. Oh, okay. No, but they did say they're sending a check next week, so we're waiting for it. Maynard has a question.
Because I have a lot that I would like to say, so should we wait till the end?
Yes, let's do that. Any questions from the Zoom folks?
Hi, Janet, it's Michael. I have a question. Can you give us a little more information on the RTD and what came out of the phase 1 study that went on?
Sure. Yeah, Scott will explain that better.
So we're in the first part of phase 1. That's what's completed. And there's a little synopsis in the packet that explains it. And what we've done is determine what kind of market we're looking for, what type of product we want to develop, and what our cost of goods needs to be in that. Now, phase 2 is starting, and that's where we start developing the product. So I'm sending each one of these members a lab kit with graduated cylinders and so forth, and then we'll get samples of the components sent out, and then we've got some mixologists that we'll be working with to start putting together. And I want to have Dr. Peterson help me with this because he's familiar and has created flavored products like this in the past. It looks like the RTD will probably be There'll be a liquor, we're leaning towards gin. Mostly sparkling water is the base of the product. And then the flavoring would be like the Tickle Me Pink. It would be either Concord juice or Concord concentrate. And probably no wine at all. But that we will see when we start mixing them all and looking at what we're trying to do. It's the only growing part of the liquor business today, and it's projected to grow 24% next year. So that's why we're going for it, because the wine side of the business is obviously is shrinking, and so we'll keep you abreast as things develop, and we'll go forward with that.
Let's not mention the three. There's three choices, and a non-alcoholic one is actually a choice too.
Yeah, there's a choice, like the one I first mentioned with like gin. We like gin because it has botanicals, and we're looking more in that vermouth kind of, which Dick also has experience. He made vermouth for BV, yeah, back when he was much younger than me. But and then there's a non-alcoholic version as well, and that's a big growth area in the industry, is the non-alcoholic RTD as well.
Even though you described it as phase 2, is this all taking place under the phase 1 agreement?
This is all, yeah, right. This was that what this brief is phase 1 of the first phase. So so phase 2 will be when we're ready to go to market, and then when we're ready to develop product and go to market. And that
I want your temper.
I'm sorry, who is that?
You're going for. Hey, yeah.
I'm sorry, again.
I'm not picking up the question.
You can usually see who's speaking.
Is that Doug? Is that you that was on there? Or?
I'm here, but I will make one comment, if I may. I'm in the industry, and I concur and agree with you with all your summarizing of the current condition of the market and the growth of the RTDs. But the one thing that I see is the RTD growth and their focus on flavors that our consumers are well aware of, like Moscow Mule or a margarita. They just fly. They do it. The Salt Points and of the world, these RTD producers, they try to do the exotic, more esoteric flavors, and they don't do as well, at least with me, as the true blue flavors that they're familiar with, like margarita or Moscow Mule. And if you're going down this road, just keep that in mind, perhaps, that you're heading in the right direction, I believe, and I compliment you on that. It's just, don't try to reinvent the wheel.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you look on that form, it explains that we have three things that we are, exploring, and that is one of them.
Yeah.
The traditional cocktail, a new one, where we get a mixologist come in and make something, fabulous, and the non-alc. So those three things are what we have now determined. So yes, thanks, Doug. That is one of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, we're focusing on Concord because we all grew up eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So we're hoping that will be something, because that has not been done in an RTD yet. So, okay. Any more questions? Do you have more of your presentation?
I'm done.
Okay. All right. Okay, so that took us right into on the agenda to the Middleton White, which I think we've talked about. So the next thing is the financial situation of the company. Last year, the last 2 years, we produced wine with the idea of growth and because it's 2 years down the road that you end up using the wine that you made 2 years ago for bottling wine and so forth. And the industry has really, as you could see from our sales forecast, shrunk. So we're in a bind. We're in a tough cash flow bind. We have a lot of bulk wine that I'm selling on the bulk market with some success. But we're about $200,000 short of where we should be this time of the year. So we have a cash flow problem and we're going to need to make up that $200,000. We have we've applied for and been accepted for the employee retention program. And we have $220,000 coming from the government. But you know, the government, they said that we would receive the money in 6 to 8 months. It's been 7 months since we applied. And in talking with the people that helped us do this and so forth, it's going to be another 6 months before that money probably shows up. So we're in a shortfall of probably 150, but I'd rather say 200. Right, this is the time of year when we have expenses as far as bottling goes, which we shrunk down considerably. But it's also the time of year where we don't ship any wine clubs because you just can't ship wine club when it's this hot. So our last wine club, and our wine club's about $250,000 a quarter or per wine club. We have 4 a year. The last one is in May and the next one is September 1st. So here we are sitting, trying to survive. So there's a number of ways to cover this shortfall. We can do another offering and see if people want to buy more shares. We can borrow money from shareholders, and then I also have a friend of mine who is willing to loan us money at 6% interest, which I think is really great. A guy that used to be an apprentice of mine, and he built a wine company and did sell it for a fortune, but years ago. But he's going to want some guarantees from some shareholders. He wants to see that my shareholders support the company. So I'd like to open this up for discussion and see what you guys all want to do. Any comments?
I'll either send us exactly what you would like, that is, buying more shares of pretty much buy or whatever. But what kind of money you would like to need to a loan or match this person's loan, so we can see specifics. I think that would be appropriate. Just to say I'll buy so many shares, I don't know what that means. I don't know what the shares are costing. So I don't know what that means.
Well, I want to get a feeling from the group of which approach to take to get us through to September.
Scott, here's a question for you. I know you've been developing this relationship with Middleton. Is Middleton interested in an investment in Scott Harvey Wines or Creative Wine Concept?
That is worth pursuing. Yeah, Philip?
Wasn't that brought up at that special meeting and didn't the people decide at that time they didn't want to warn it? Would rather not get money from Middleton?
I think the consensus was in the meeting that that we would look at it and then agree on what we wanted to do. That there had to be a proposal.
But that was once the.
That's for the second phase.
Yeah,
Because Middleton White wants to put in $500,000 in the second phase to develop and build out or to develop the product for sale.
Put that solution.
Yes. Dick?
I, I'd be very cautious about getting too much debt.
Did you guys hear that on
no,
the
he's
Zoom?
doing it.
Yeah, Dr. Peterson cautions us on acquiring too much debt. The company right now has very little debt. And I've always been debt adverse in running this company. But we've got to get from here to September somehow. And I'm laying off our winemaker, which saves us $100,000 a year. I've moved my office back to the winery. We're seriously looking at closing down Sutter Creek in the sugar mill. I'm pretty sure the sugar mill will go. We're shrinking the company drastically to make ends meet. But that's where
So
we're
are
at.
we losing money on the Sutter Creek then? Is that what you're saying?
Well, we're looking at the financials on it right now, and that'll come up with the board. The board will look at all those numbers, and then as a board, we will make a decision whether to keep it going or not, especially with the 25% rating or rental increase. Charles?
River fell down too.
Yeah. Yeah. Charles Spinetta asked about the sugar mill, and I said we're considering closing it down.
Hey, Scott,
Are
when you
there,
get a
are there any outstanding amounts that are due any creditors that they're pushing to get payment?
We have break payments of about $150,000, 130. And I've been telling them that when I sell their wine in bulk, then they'll get paid. It's basically the situation. Philip.
Just wondering, I know that personally there was some issues at the time of the configuration. What is your outlook as far as facility and possibility of having to put money into?
Our lease with the current winery the winery we're at is that we make all repairs to interior things, and the air conditioning unit is actually part of the interior. And then they cover the outside. The building's in very poor shape. It leaks a lot, and the landlord isn't taking care of it. He says he will, but he hasn't. And but I kind of live with it. The air conditioner was down recently, and Phil Gelani hooked us up with a local air conditioning guy who turned out to be great. And all bids from other companies were about $30,000 to replace it. And this guy came in and fixed it for $2,000. So that's where we're at. I'm not going to put $30,000 into something we don't own. So we'll limp along with what we have.
Scott, is there did I understand the landlord is raising the rent, but he has a leaky building and he refuses to fix it?
It's two different rentals.
Oh, okay.
So the guy in Sutter Creek is raising the rent.
Oh,
These old gold mining towns, half of them are owned by one family, usually the hardware store family during the gold rush. And that's what this is. And he didn't raise our rent all through COVID. And in fact, he lowered it during COVID on his own. And then, but now he says some index that he uses. You know, we started at 1,600 and he's trying to get it up to what it would be today, 15 years later. And that's why he's increasing the rent.
The thing is, you have an index also. The index is very stable.
Right.
And it's difficult when sales go down to accept higher.
Yeah. Well, that's what I told him.
He doesn't care.
Hey, Scott,
Yeah.
I'd like to get in with just a process suggestion related to this,
This
which
is,
is, I think,
this is
this is
Dave,
Dave,
you guys.
Dave Wertheim. I think you're on the right track. I think that the process is a 2 to 3 step process. Reduce as many expenses as you can without reducing the cash flow. You want to keep the cash flow as much as you can. So I think those are the right moves you've been talking about considering. For you and the board to consider, my opinion would be, I would rather not see us take on more investors and further dilute our equity. And if we need to do, I'm leaning towards, if you need short-term cash, taking a loan is really like the fastest way to do that. And we will take on more indebtedness, but to try to get the interest rate as low as possible. 6 isn't bad, but I'm wondering, as you suggested, maybe there are some shareholders who would kick in a certain amount of money at a lower interest rate to help you bridge the gap. So somewhere between that range where your friend ultimately would be like the final step to get it at 6% and get whatever you need to get through. Obviously, we got to get through to September, and agree with your assessment that we have to bridge the gap. And hopefully the money comes in from the government, but even if it's late, that'll pay it down later. So it's not a real risk to the company. Obviously, we got to keep the company afloat. Those are my thoughts.
I'm thinking maybe, I kind of think 6% is pretty good interest in today's market. If a shareholder wants to offer security for it, that we add 2%, and that when the loan is paid off, then the 6% goes to my friend Tony and 2% goes to the shareholder for giving the security for the loan. Any ideas on that?
My thought was very similar to what Dave was mentioning, and that is like, as long as we are committed to using those federal funds to pay off the debt, we're really just looking at a short-term debt. It's just to
Right.
get us over the next. So whenever those funds come in, I want to make sure that those are committed to paying that debt off. So that
Right.
we are.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm proposing.
Maybe.
Scott, could I have two?
This is Doug Cannon, tell you guys.
Okay. First, if the shareholders, if you take a loan, do the shareholders have any responsibility if to pay it back? And number two, I am also applying for the Employee Retention Act funds, and it's been such a delay, and we've been told it may not even happen. The government is really backing off funding these things. So my point is, I don't know if that is it's not a guarantee, and don't see if it happens, that's wonderful, but don't assume it's going to happen. That's what we've been told, because we've been waiting just like you. We expected it 3 months ago, and now it appears it might be another 8 months, 6 to 8 months, and it may, if it even happens at all. So my warning is, don't count on it. It may or may not happen. And the first part of the question was, do the shareholders, if a loan is taken, do we ultimately have to be responsible for it if something was to happen?
If the company will have to pay back the loan, and if we close down the company, then all the debts will be paid off before what's left over is split between the shareholders. That's the way it works. We, this, last year, we bought $430,000 worth of grapes. This year, we're buying $120,000 worth of grapes. So you can see how we're, and we don't need the wine because we got plenty of wine from the last 2 years. So that's why I'm shrinking. And so with the same cash flow minus the 125,000 from this year, I'm pretty confident that as we're going forward, we'll be paying this stuff off because we'll have a greater cash flow than our outgo.
I think the question that I was asking is if the liabilities are more than what monies we have on hand, so there's more debt than there is to cover, will the shareholders be liable to pay that?
If you declare bankruptcy, no. But our total assets are about 2 million. And, minus the little bit of debt we have now. So, I mean, if we close the company down, I'm pretty sure there'll be plenty of money there to pay off what little debt we have and start dispersing it to the shareholders.
God, if I can offer just a couple comments on that. It's as long as the company has been following the corporate formalities, and it has, in terms of the participation of the officers, the directors, and the board, then the shareholders should not have any liability, personal liability for any of the debt, because that's what the form of a corporation is, to shield the shareholders from. If by chance the formalities haven't been followed, then you might get a piercing of the corporate veil type of claim. But that's a very difficult case to make. So from the shareholder perspective, I think the shareholders are protected. If there is the company's liquidated and the amount of funds from the liquidation doesn't fully cover all outstanding debts.
Any more comments? Hey,
Hi,
Rick?
hi, Scott, it's Barbara. I've been really passive for many years, and I think you've done a great job, you and Jana. I'm really reluctant to add anything to go into more debt myself. I'd like to see I'd like to see something happen.
Rick?
So was Middleton prepared to pay $500,000 or were they prepared to find investors to provide the $500,000?
Find investors.
Yeah, as I recall, with federal rules, we could have up to 32 investors, and I think we're at 31.
It's 36 and we're at 36. Right. So we would have to do something. We'd have to buy out an investor, or we would have to bring them in a different capacity that falls within the legal laws of what we can do.
Scott, one thought. I think most of us as shareholders don't really like the idea of our value of the shares being diluted. That being said, if the company goes out of business, our shares have been substantially diluted, if not wiped out. And so it seems like the company needs money. And the reason I raised Middleton is a company that does have funds available. And so, if there is something that can be done with Middleton that's going to involve some type of equity interest in the company, Gail and I are on board with that.
Just one observation we haven't talked about, you mentioned liquidating the company, that's anything we'd like to do. But given the next few years of downward trends in the market, increased investment in new market opportunities, blood in the wine business, et cetera, has anyone run the scenario of if we liquidate, what does that mean to the shareholders?
Not yet.
Might be worth doing. So, otherwise, we might chase this thing all the way down a rabbit hole and be much worse 3 years, 5 years from now.
Juan Carlos?
Obviously, I haven't been active in many years here. This is the first time I came to shareholders. But I hear you saying that you have 37 shareholders.
36.
36. Also, that doing that with company situation is not a good idea. But I would suggest maybe consider some shareholder loan. Because you're talking if you have 36, about 6,000. Somebody figure out the return of the loan. And that's probably a better way to save the company. I think. Because I hear you from here. You are in a difficult situation within these materials companies all the time, more than whatever you have in the balance sheet. The risk of losing the equity already is high. So what you need is $200,000 to save the day. I would first to see what appetite is for shareholder loan. Then you can put that time, structure that different ways, so that the first money that comes in survive that way better, I think, from what I'm hearing. Total finance. That's what it seems to me, if it's possible. I mean, but shareholder loan, it's the easiest way. If you think you have to make sure that you believe that you can stay on. That's what I.
Yeah, Maynard?
Scott.
So-
Oh, okay, the Zoom people probably didn't hear Juan Carlos at all. Yeah, I can. Juan Carlos is from the world of finance and one of our larger shareholders. And he's suggesting to bridge this, the best thing to do is get shareholder loans from the shareholder. With the ability, with the money going that comes in to pay it off quickly. Maynard?
So I think the board needs to decide a lot of this stuff and then present it to us, but are you talking about a 6-month loan, a bridge loan of 6 months? Because people would want to know if they're gonna loan money, how long this, the expectation is to get paid back. If you knew you were gonna get paid back in 6 months, that would be one thing. If you knew it might be 5 years before you got back, that would be another thing. That's something that somebody has to, you have to throw out before, people can't hold up their hands, oh, well, I'm gonna loan money, but they don't know what they're loaning it. So they have to have some kind of plan. So I might, based on one situation, might be willing to this date and another, I might not. So I think most of them will be in that position. So,
Okay,
so anyway, that's what I think needs to happen.
so did you guys hear Maynard at all? Yeah, you did? Yeah, he's a little louder. Okay. Okay, well, do we have a resolution then for the board of directors to come together with proposal to the shareholders?
Yes, so moved.
Okay, we have a second on that? Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay. So the board will come together and we'll have to call a meeting. We're gonna have a short meeting after this meeting, but that's just to appoint officers and so forth. But we should have a meeting next week and get this thing rolling. Okay, so any more discussion on that? Maynard?
Oh, so I just have two things to say. Would you just let me know when I can do that?
Okay, yeah, let's get through the agenda. Then we'll go with that. Okay, so so we have the financial production. I've already talked about that. We are shrinking drastically. The last time we went into a situation like this was in the 2008 downturn. And I immediately shrunk our production down with the anticipation of smaller sales and so forth. And within a year and a half, we had $750,000 in the bank. So we lived off of the inventory that we've already built without having to pay a lot of money for continual development. And then, you know, it sort of went along. And I see that happening in this situation. As I've said, I'm letting our winemaker go and taking over that position, which saves us about $100,000 when you take her salary plus workman's comp and medical benefits. Yeah.
Is that a guarantee that you're gonna get Molly, or is there some hope?
No, I've got her, she's still on payroll right now, but I'm helping her find another job. So there's no way this company can afford that middle management position. So, and the same thing, if we close these tasting rooms, there'll be a lot of wages that we won't be incurring either. So. Okay, now we have we have new business. Is there maybe Maynard, this is when you talk?
Yeah. Well, I just have a few things, and some are just comments.
Why don't you come up here so that the Zoom people can hear you?
Thank you. So anyway, I just have some comments and some observations. And one is that we know, if you've been reading, that Napa and Sonoma are just going to focus on them. They're down in sales, and the tasting room visits are down, and people visiting are down. I mean, it's just down. Some people I talked to wondered why it's so expensive in Napa and Sonoma, for instance. Why aren't more people coming to a beautiful place like Amador, say? And I don't understand that, and a lot of people don't understand that. That's just an observation, and I don't know, but I think as a group we need just to think about that. Another thing, which is a small amount for our company, is the merchandise sales. We hardly sell any merchandise. I think I saw 12,000. That seemed low, but I can tell you personally, I've been at the winery several times in the last couple months, and they have almost no inventory to sell, or they have shirts but not of all sizes, or no hats one day and then another day hats, and there's not a lot of stuff for people to buy, and maybe it's not worth even having things like that. But you go in the other tasting rooms and they have a whole variety of things to sell. So I would suggest that we look at merchandise as a way to get some money. We can't make up all this. And one thing I think we should focus on is putting health information on our wine labels. Some wineries I've seen have done that. Not, I mean, almost none have. But certainly on those canned products, they have all kinds of information besides the alcohol. So we need to be putting, I think, and we need to be at the forefront of this. So it's a health label on the back. It's truth in advertising too. We have 14.5% alcohol, but then what's the calorie count on that? And you know, you can advertise the lots of different things. The ingredients or no added ingredients, all sorts of things that you could put on there. So I think we need to be kind of health conscious and promote wine in that way. We can't. There's things you can't do with the ATF or whatever it's called now, but there's things you can put on there, calories and sugar and no sugar, no gluten, none of that stuff. So people look at that. You look at on all sorts of products, they all label it that way. So I think we should be at the forefront of that, and it's, you know, truth in our products. So make people know what they're getting into, and it's so many calories per ounce or whatever, you know. I think we should really try, as mentioned, our wine club is we have a lot of older members or members that have been a long time. I think as you're in the wine club, they should be getting more and more benefits to keep them and encourage other people to join if they know they have this benefit. And I'm an only member of one wine club, and that's the Maine Canaris, and I've been there 20 years. And I've tried to quit, but every time I decide to quit, they keep increasing my bennies. They don't give you all that much discount on the wine, but when you go in there, you know, it's not hard for me to spend. It would have cost me 70 to 120 bucks to get what I don't have to pay for with food and so forth. I get 2 caviar tastings a year, and now because I get Super Platinum Plus, I get these 4 times a year. I can go and get these 5 sparkling wines and 4 of these exotic food things. So I get those. I can get those for 2 people, not just me, and the caviars for 2 as well. So, and they have a big charcuterie, however you say that, tray, and a cheese tray, and I can get 6 of those every year. So I only go there a couple times a year, but it's, you know, the point is we need to increase the bennies for people that are going to stay on, to encourage them to stay, and also show that people, gee, if you just stay another couple of years, you can get this, that, and the other thing. Then just we're going to be, meaning Scott Harvey Wines, I just found out yesterday, we're going to be at the El Dorado Hills Lake Forest Wine for a Friday night, you know, tasting and stuff. So I'll be there for sure. But I don't know, are you going to be there, Scott? Well, somebody will be there.
Robin.
So also, I think we should think in terms of what our product costs are. I mean, we have to make money, but we also have to sell the products. So I think we have to seriously look at what we're selling our product for, and is it too much? Are our products too high compared to maybe some other people? I don't know, but we need to be aware of what people are selling the products around us are, and then see if we're competitive or not. So I think that's something we really need to be aware of. And, you know, so anyway, that's all I'd like to say, but I would like to push this health labeling thing on our labels. Thank you. Good presentation.
Janet's been pushing for ingredient labeling or and health labeling all along, so. And it's coming. If we don't do it on our own, I think it's gonna be mandated by the government. So it's coming. So that moves us on to the Board of Directors slate that we have to vote for in each meeting, and we're presenting the same slate that we currently have. And that's Dr. Peterson, Judy Gavia, Justin Phillips, Janet and I, Jake Gerolani, and Jason Hughes. So.
Yes.
Oh, gosh. Sorry, Dave. So, any discussion on that slate?
It's an awful experience.
Okay, a motion to accept it? Okay, so we got Gary Gubik, Maynard. Any, all in favor? Anybody opposed? No. So Chuck Dowd is opposed, which I respect that, Chuck. Okay, well, so the slate is passed, and then, if we have no more business, we can get to a great lunch with Phil Jelani over here. Yeah, Phil has something to say. Oh,
And
One more observation. You know, we're talking about the RTG product. I think that's moving in the right direction. But I'm a little concerned about the idea of using a Concord flavor base. As you said, everybody grew up with peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, but the millennials and the younger people haven't. So you're basically providing a product for our generation who are not going to be drinking it.
did you guys catch that? I'm talking to the computer here.
Why don't you use Zinfandel or something that makes your nothing? Get it for nothing.
Yeah, that's true. So
Right next
Phil Jelani questions the use of Concord in this RTD, which we are going to look at with or without Concord. And then Charles Spinetta says, why don't you use Zinfandel? There's plenty of it around and it's cheap right now. But any Rick?
thought about it.
Not yet. I mean, we've had a lot of discussion, but nothing's been set yet.
that's the next one.
That's in the next phase, yeah.
That's what Middleton's do.
That's
what
what
they're doing.
Middleton, that's their part of it, yeah.
Concord is expensive.
No,
But, so kids don't have peanut butter and jelly anymore?
Not, yeah, and I was gonna bring that up at work meeting, actually. That
Really?
we're not going to attract them. Great flavor in
Huh.
two of my kids are in that industry.
this is, you guys hearing Judy Gavia's comments? She has two children that are in the RTD business right now and doing well. And she says that the younger people are not that familiar with the Concord flavor. That they're not eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches like we did. But we'll bring all that up as we're developing this RTD because Judy's on the board, so. Okay, so do we have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Okay, so Maynard and Dr. Peterson, first and second. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Okay, thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll see you guys.
Okay.
Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, Scott. Let's talk later.
they're not, it's not something that's gonna attract them. I'm not saying it won't be successful. I'm just saying it's not something. I wanted to share with you. June Shine just hasn't, it's not even in the markets yet, but I happened to be down there last week and they let me taste their new flavor. It was so good. It's an Aperol spritz. Oh, it's really good, but we could use our
kind of
sparkling,
spritz?
it's an Aperol spritz.
Okay.
So use our sparkling, what we have already.